So Philips Hue just leaked its cheapest floor lamp ever, and it costs less than half of the one they currently sell. But that leak is only the third most interesting thing Hue has done in the last month or so. Because one new feature just quietly split the Hue lineup in two, and many people buying their first kit this summer have no idea. So here's everything new from Philips Hue, sorted by how big of an impact it has. But first, some quick context. Hue is owned by Signify, and Signify just reported a rough first quarter. Sales down to 1.27 billion euros, net income down from 67 million to 8. I mention that because it explains a lot of what they're doing right now. A company defending its margins behaves in very specific ways, so keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, let's start with the leak because it's the most fun. According to a dedicated Hueblog, who posted product photos on May 18th, Hue is preparing two new play lamps, a table lamp and a floor lamp. And the headline here is the price. The floor lamp is expected to land around 150 euros. The table lamp around 80. Now if we compare that to what Hue sells today, the Gradient Signe floor lamp is 330 euros. The Signe table lamp is 220. So these new play lamps would come in at roughly half the price. And here's how Hue gets there, according to the leak. The floor lamp reportedly shares its housing with a Wiz lamp. That's Signify's budget brand, but the Hue version uses richer color LEDs, full chroma sync, and works with Hue Sync and Hue Entertainment. And instead of shipping pre-assembled, it comes flat packed, so it's cheaper to ship. If that strategy sounds familiar, it should. It's exactly how Govee undercuts Hue. Govee just launched its own floor lamp 3-light this month at $130. So this is Hue, the premium brand, finally swinging back at the value brands on price. Two important caveats though. Right now, this is single-sourced. Hueblog is the only outlet with these photos, and no retailer listing or certification ID has surfaced publicly yet. Hueblog has an excellent track record on Hue leaks, so I'd lean toward this being real. But treat the pricing as expected, not confirmed. And the leak doesn't tell us whether these lamps include the newer Thread radio or stick to Zigbee only. Expected launch is June, which lines up with Hue's usual summer reveal. Okay, so now the feature that actually splits the lineup. On April 28th, Hue shipped a feature called SpatialAware in app version 5.66. And here's what it does. You scan your room with your phone's camera using AR, and the app builds a map of where each of your lights physically sits. Then your scenes get smarter. Instead of throwing colors at your bulbs at random, a sunset scene puts the warm tones on one side of the room and the cooler tones on the other, based on your actual layout. It's a genuinely clever idea, and Hue says about half its scene gallery supports it at launch. But here's the problem that the marketing won't tell you. SpatialAware only runs on the Hue Bridge Pro, the newer, more expensive bridge. The older bridge, the square white one, millions of people already own, can't do it. Hue's official explanation is that the spatial map needs more processing power and storage than the old bridge has, which is plausible. It's also very convenient for a company that just nudged the Bridge Pro's European price up by 10 euros in March. I'm not saying the technical reason is fake. I'm saying the result, your best new features live on the more expensive box, is exactly what a margin-focused company wants. And SpatialAware isn't flawless yet. Hueblog's early testing found it only works on rooms, not zones, which is a real problem if you have an open plan space. And it struggles to map light strips that curve or bend instead of running in a straight line. Another thing I want to be clear about because I've seen it confused already. SpatialAware is not presence detection. It does not sense people in the room like an Aqara FP2 does. It's a one-time scan for color placement, nothing more. Hue still doesn't have a true presence sensor. And that means the Bridge Pro's killer app right now is really SpatialAware plus the higher device ceiling, up to 150 lights and 50 accessories versus 63 on the old bridge. If you're already deep into Hue, that ceiling alone might be the reason to upgrade. SpatialAware is a bonus on top. Which brings us to the most timely story, and this one is fully confirmed. On May 6th, Signify officially announced Hue Sports Live. Your lights react in real time to a live football match. Goal for your team. The room flashes your team's colors. Red card, a red flash. Full-time win, a 15-second celebration in your colors. There's even a quiet mode between events. Your lights just sit in your favorite team's color, or shift to whoever's leading. Kickoff gets a green flash, halftime ending gets 1-2, a penalty shootout turns the room blue. And the smart part is what it doesn't need. No sync box, no HDMI gadget, no subscription. It pulls live match data from a third-party feed and runs straight through the Hue app on any Hue bridge with any color bulb. You just sync the in-app match clock to your TV so the flashes land at the right moment. If you're already running a sync box behind your TV, Sports Live plays nicely. According to Hueblog, the sync box keeps doing its screen sync thing on the lights behind the display, and Sports Live takes over the rest of the room. So it's additive, not either or. But there are two honest limitations though. Signify won't say which data provider powers it, and they're calling it Championship 2026 rather than naming the World Cup because they aren't an official FIFA partner. And by Signify's own wording, it's built for the tournament window, football from June 11th through mid-July. What happens after that is the open question. Signify is the official lighting partner of the Mercedes Formula 1 team, and the Wiz brand already has F1 light animations. So I'd speculate Formula 1 is the obvious next step. But to be clear, that's my read, not a Hue promise. A couple of smaller things worth 30 seconds. Hue is also refreshing its little E14 candle bulbs, the ones for chandeliers and small fixtures. Packaging spotted on Amazon shows the same upgrade the bigger bulbs got last year. A new chip that adds direct matter over thread pairing, plus a wider color temperature range on paper. Useful, but Hueblog found the real-world difference fairly subtle, so I wouldn't rush to replace working bulbs. And Hue is expanding its Sonos partnership so the two systems can control each other, though there's no firm date on that yet. So here's the practical takeaway for all of this, and it's the thing I'd actually tell a friend. If you're buying into Hue for the first time this summer, buy the Bridge Pro, not the old Bridge. SpatialAware is just the start. The pattern is now obvious. The best new Hue features are landing on the Pro, and the older Bridge is quietly becoming the budget tier. A quick note on general platforms, since people always ask. All of this still works the way Hue always has. Through the Bridge, you get full support in Apple Home, Google Home, Amazon, Home Assistant, and Homey. But these clever extras, Sports Live, SpatialAware, Entertainment, live inside the Hue app. If you connect a Hue bulb by matter alone and skip the Bridge, you get on, off, and color, and none of the magic. Subscribe if you want the follow-up, because the real test is the June launch. That's when we find out if those play lamp prices are real and whether Sports Live survives past the final whistle in July. I'll be watching the certification databases between now and then. If a floor lamp or a candle bulb shows up with a price tag, you'll hear it here first. And remember that weak quarter I mentioned at the start. Watch whether this whole strategy, cheaper lamps and pricier features, is enough to turn it around. And until next time, keep it smart, keep it simple, and keep it affordable.